Hey everyone, my name is Dillon Gonzalez. I'm the editorial director of GeekVibesNation.com and also a co-host of the Home Dance Film Festival podcast. And welcome to a brand new episode of No Streaming Required, your weekly deep dive into all the latest and greatest in the world of physical media. Welcome back. We have another amazing show for you this week. We have a ton of great titles I'm so excited to dig into. We have titles from the Vinegar Syndrome partner labels. We have stuff from the Criterion Collection, Kino Lorber, Disney, just all kinds of stuff that I'm really excited to show off. So I'm just going to dive right in to my first title. Is one that I know a lot of people will be interested in, and it's a series that I've talked about quite a bit on this show if you've been with me for a few years. This is the complete series of Star Trek Lower Decks. Now, I have tucked in my little back card into here, but this is the back insert that kind of shows off everything and lists all the special features. But the box, here you have that here. So this is a steelbook collection. You have two steelbooks holding 5 seasons of the show. And I'll just show that off real quick. This isn't my favorite design because this requires stacked discs, which are not my favorite. Blu-rays are a little bit more durable than 4Ks at least, so you have some stacked discs on both of these. I will take these off so you can kind of see the artwork underneath. But if these were 4K discs, this would be completely unacceptable. I still don't love it, but I will tolerate it. So you can see the interior artwork of this one here. And I will do the same with the second case here. Show that off here. And then I will show off the interior here. This only requires 2 discs on each of the spindles instead of 3 like the first case. And here you have the interior of this case. Not the best setup. I wish each season could have got its own steelbook if we were going to go this route, but that may have been a bit too cost prohibitive. And this also comes with an art card here, which has some signatures from the cast. This is a 10-disc set with all 50 episodes from the 5 seasons of a really great series. If you're a Star Trek fan, even if you're a little bit hesitant on this, if you haven't seen it and you're not sure if you would like it, it is a animated series that I feel is, especially of the last decade or so, where we've had several new Star Trek series. This is one of the ones I feel really gets to the spirit of the series the most. Yes, it is comedic and stuff, but it really has a deep respect for Star Trek lore. And there's a lot of really great Easter eggs throughout and a lot of great just callbacks to a lot of things that I think hardcore Star Trek fans would really appreciate, but it's also very accessible to a newcomer as well. And I think it's a good way for people to kind of get on board, try to get a little bit of some of the feel of Star Trek before maybe they want to dive in a little bit more, because this isn't about like the typical heroes of the show. These are like kind of the underlings and stuff, and the adventures that they get into in the lower decks of this ship that's not kind of thought of very highly within the Starfleet command and stuff. So you grow to love these characters over these 5 seasons. A lot of them have really interesting arcs. They are all voiced very well by a talented cast, including Jack Quaid. This is just such a fun show, and I'm glad to have all 5 seasons on Blu-ray. Because the release pattern of like some of these seasons earlier on individually, which you can get these individually, was a little bit inconsistent. I was afraid that they were going to abandon Blu-ray at one point, but luckily we got all of these out on Blu-ray in really good condition. I've reviewed the first 4 seasons individually on Blu-ray on GeekVibesNation.com. So if you want to dig into that, go to GeekVibesNation.com. The 5th season holds up very well, just as well in audiovisual wise. These are all stacked with special features. You got some commentary tracks throughout this set. You got various interviews and featurettes and gag reels, all kinds of stuff. So Paramount and CBS, they did well with this one. I believe there is a non-steelbook version of this. I'm not sure that might have a non-stack disc option, but if you're a steelbook fan, this is a really nice compact set. It's Blu-ray size, so you're not having like a DVD size packaging for a Blu-ray release, which happens a lot with more recent complete series sets. So I'm glad to have a Blu-ray size set for Star Trek Lower Decks. Good release for fans, so make sure to check that out. Sticking with animation, on more of an adult theme, we are going to IFC Films release. It's a 2-pack of Adam Elliott's Mary and Max and Memoir of a Snail. Now, people may know, especially if you follow the Oscars, you may be very familiar with Memoir of a Snail from this past year. It was nominated for Best Animated Feature. Mary and Max, I believe, was also nominated for an Oscar back in the day. If not, I believe it should have. That one has the voices of like Toni Collette, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Eric Bana. And Memoir of a Snail has Succession's Sarah Snook, Cody Smith-McPhee, Eric Bana again, and Jackie Weaver. And a personal favorite cameo from Nick Cave, from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. These are really, really great animated films. Memoir of a Snail, I think that was my favorite animated film of 2024. Adam Elliott really takes the medium seriously, and yes, they are more adult themed animated features. Memoir of a Snail is rated R, but they really have a heart to them that really connects with me and my sensibilities specifically. Now, like Memoir of a Snail, that is a story. It's kind of a darker story about like it follows these siblings from a younger years. They lose their parents. They get split up like and adopted by different figures and stuff, and kind of the hardships that they face. And they have really pretty dark lives, but them trying to persevere over the years into adulthood. And just how that kind of blossoms is really beautiful. But then Mary and Max, which is the earlier feature back from the late 2000s, that is a tale about unlikely pen pals. All of these stories are about kind of like outsiders and misfits and stuff. But it's like a really nice tale about like a young girl becoming a pen pal with a man who has his own issues, like who's like kind of an older man, and kind of their dynamic evolves over like a several decade long communication style and stuff. So Adam Elliott is such a brilliant animator. I love stop motion animation. It's just a wonderful art form. The fact that it is used beyond kind of some of the youth-friendly sensibilities, and it can be a little bit something more geared towards adults, I really appreciate that, and I like having that kind of variety in my viewing. You have 2 discs here from IFC Films. These are both look very nice on Blu-ray. Mary and Max was released previously as a standalone Blu-ray back in the day. I believe this is the exact same disc from what I can tell. Memoir of a Snail is obviously new because it is just coming to Blu-ray. You can also get it as a standalone Blu-ray as well if you already have Mary and Max or are not interested. Which if you're someone who thinks you're going to like Memoir of a Snail, you're gonna like Mary and Max as well. They look good, they sound good, and they have some great features. Each film has a commentary track from Adam Elliott. You get some interviews, you get some behind-the-scenes featurettes, you get some short films. This is a great release. It's very affordable for what this encompasses right now. So if you are even the slightest bit interested in more kind of adult-oriented animation, check this one out. Adam Elliott, great talent, and both of these films are super entertaining. I really enjoyed both of them. Sticking with more in adult animation, but not quite as dark. It's just maybe younger kids might not be as invested in this. This is Animigo's Nasu, Summers in Andalusia. This is a really it's an anime feature. It runs a little under an hour long. So I guess you could call it a short film, but it's kind of positioned as a feature. It just takes place during a real life bike race, and it's a really interesting structure where you are seeing all the action that's going on during this particularly intense section of this bike race, but at the same time you have some interpersonal stuff going on outside of the bike race of like some of the people who are viewing it or just kind of involved in some way, and all the drama that's happening off the course, and then everything happening on the bikes. And this is beautiful animation. If it was a feature, like a proper feature, like an hour and a half long feature, it may make your attention wane a little bit. But since it is a little bit on the shorter side, I think it's like 50 minutes long or so, it kept my attention throughout. I would have loved if it was longer, a little bit longer, but for what it is, it's a really engaging, intriguing anime, and this was one that I had not heard of before, but I try to keep track of what this company is releasing. This seemed interesting to me, so I checked it out, and it was such a great surprise. So I believe this was actually the first animated film to screen at Cannes. I could have my facts wrong, but that is what I read. So that's a cool kind of feather in the cap of this one. So make sure to check this one out if you're an anime fan. If you're into titles that aren't like more of like a fantastical nature, this is more grounded. It is more realistic, but it's executed very well. This Blu-ray looks great. Sounds great as well. Original Japanese audio and 5.1 or 2.0 DTS. Each sounds great. You have English or English SDH subtitles. You get some special features, including some interviews, both when it was released in the early 2000s interviews and a retrospective interview from the director now. You do get a feature-length storyboard, so you can kind of see how it looked before it was fully animated, like how it was kind of conceived and how it looks featured. And then you have a look at the premiere of the film and everything. So Nasu, Summers in Andalusia. If I've mispronounced any of this, I apologize, but it is worth checking out if any of it sounds interesting to you. Sticking once more in the animated realm, though I think Disney wouldn't want me to call this an animated film. They like to call it a live action film that just happens to be fully CGI. And that is Mufasa, the Lion King. This is the follow-up to the live action Lion King from, I believe, 2019. Made over $1 billion, which itself was a live action remake of the original animated Lion King. Now, my thoughts on the 2019 Lion King was it did not need to exist. It was not very good. It was kind of lifeless. It just kind of seemed like a cheap cash grab. And it just... I'm so disappointed with Disney these days. They used to be such known for kind of their original ideas and creating their own magic and not just mining the nostalgia of those who kind of grew up with some of these films. And whether it be live action remakes or sequels to live action remakes like this one, I just crave that old school Disney magic. Now, is Mufasa better than the 2019 Lion King? Yes. I think that is in part because they took a few of the criticisms of that film regarding kind of the liveliness of like the animals' expressions and tried to make the improvements in that. You also have the director Barry Jenkins, who is a great director of like The Underground Railroad and If Beale Street Can Talk and Moonlight. You have him coming in as a director, which he doesn't get to flex his full Barry Jenkins-ness all over this. This is a Disney production. He can only do so much. But he does seem to bring a degree of nuance to this story, or a little bit more heart, that makes it a little bit more intriguing, and it's not just simply trying to resurrect the corpse of like an old property like the last Lion King was. Mufasa has a little bit of something extra going on, but it still feels very superfluous. There were things that I thought it did well. There's some decent songs. Lin-Manuel Miranda provides the music for this one, but even the songs they don't all hit. The story just feels kind of pedestrian. This didn't need to be made except just to make Disney money. I talked about Moana 2 a couple weeks ago. I would say this is better than that in terms of execution and just like overall thematic resonance. But still, I cannot recommend this unless you have like young children who really want to see this, or you're just for completionist sakes. Mostly because I just want Disney to hopefully learn a lesson and go back to original ideas. They won't, because that doesn't earn them money. This is just like my hope. The other group of people I would recommend this to are 4K enthusiasts who want a reference series like release, because looks fantastic with 4K Dolby Vision, a Dolby Atmos presentation, sounds amazing. AV wise, it knocks it out of the park. There's also some great special features. It has a sing-along version. You do get various featurettes. You get deleted scenes. So yeah, Disney, in terms of the 4K and the home video presentation, it looks and sounds great. Good special features. It's just, I want more from Disney. So it's okay. It's not a horror show, but Mufasa the Lion King, I just want more. I don't want more of Mufasa. I just want more from Disney. But going from the king of the Pride Rock to the king of the monsters, we are going over to my first Criterion Collection title. We are going to Godzilla versus Biollante. This is the 1989 feature. I believe this is the second feature in the kind of the 80s resurgence of Godzilla. So this is a classic Toho production. I will show this off a little bit. Can kind of see a little bit there. There's not much going on in the background. You do get a booklet, which unfolds to have an essay on one side and a poster of Biollante on the other side. Get the nice essay here, and you can learn all about it and restoration notes. And then look, monster plants, which is what gets concocted within this story. It's a pretty wild story from the cells of Godzilla to combat Godzilla. So you have a monstrous plant that has the spirit of a teenage girl in it, who, like, her mad scientist father is trying to resurrect. It's a whole plot, but it's Godzilla. You kind of know what you're getting. You get like some really great, lovingly kind of cheesy at times special effects, but it's still pretty solid compared to disastrous like CGI like stuff we would get in like the 90s and 2000s. Still pretty practical here. And I love it. This is what I want from my Godzilla. If you're not gonna have like perfect like CGI, the human element, it's fine. It doesn't sink the movie in any way. It does what it needs to do. But it's a Godzilla movie. It delivers pretty much what you want from it. I love like the suit designs and all that kind of stuff. The Biollante designs, great. This is the first from this era of Godzilla that is being released on 4K in the US. So I'm glad that Criterion is just starting to release these as restorations get done and Toho allows them to be released over here. And so this comes from a 4K restoration provided by Toho of the original camera negative. And it has the Japanese only language. There's no English dub for those who have like a soft spot for like any English dub. Not on here, so just be aware of that. The Japanese is in 5.0 audio, and this does have HDR10, but this is one of those titles where it is basically SDR in an HDR container, but the nuances of the colors are kind of brought to the forefront in this presentation. And it's not the brightest title, but I think everything holds up pretty well. And I think where this really excels in the actual detail that you see on screen. Not everything is perfect. I think Toho maybe could have improved things a little bit here and there, but overall, it's a really nice looking disc. It looks really great on 4K. Sound is good as well. Didn't notice any damage or any shortcomings of that sort. You do get a new commentary track, which is cool. You get a making of featurette. You get some deleted special effects, and then a couple other featurettes. So a pretty nice assortment of special features for this release. Toho is a company that's, from what I can tell, seems to be pretty hard to work with from other labels. So the fact that we get a release as good as this one, I think, is really great. Could it have been better? Potentially, but based like with like the English dub included and all that stuff, that would have been great. But for what is able to be accomplished with Toho's involvement, this is a really good disc from Criterion Collection. So Godzilla versus Biollante, very much worth checking out if you're a fan of the series. Going for something completely different now, also from the Criterion Collection, we have Arthur Penn's Night Move, starring Gene Hackman, the late great Gene Hackman. I've talked about some of his work recently, like with The Conversation and stuff, after his tragic passing. But I am just glad that I keep getting a chance to explore his work and just really appreciate what a marvelous performer he was. This folds out to a great essay, continues on to the back, and get restoration notes, all that good stuff. So this is Gene Hackman, kind of in a Chinatown-esque tale where he is a private detective. He was a former sports star that turned private detective. He's having a little bit of issues on the domestic front with his wife, not really sure what he wants to do in terms of like his career. He does want to be a detective, but he's finding it difficult at times, like with different fronts. He gets hired to track down the daughter of this actress, and it really just kind of sends him on a tale of like of just all kinds of just messed up, like seeing the dregs of society and just like the horrors that humans are able to commit upon each other, these atrocities, and just kind of the brokenness of society. And it's really kind of a somber movie in many respects, of just as this private eye just getting exposed to all this and just having to kind of live with the weight of that. And it's also quite thrilling at times. There's a kind of a plane sequence on a boat that's very reminiscent of North by Northwest. There's some pretty problematic stuff with like Melanie Griffith, who plays a 16-year-old who's kind of like trying to seduce people and really trying to act out, and just some of the, and I believe from what I was told by my wife, who was looking up some trivia about this movie, I don't think that Melanie Griffith was of legal age when she filmed some of these inappropriate scenes, and so that kind of adds an extra layer of like skeeviness to things. But as a movie, I did find it quite engaging and entertaining. There are some things that I would like kind of stretches my sense of disbelief a little bit, but really great movie, great Gene Hackman performance, which most Gene Hackman performances are great Gene Hackman performances. And this was previously released by the Warner Archive on Blu-ray. This does come from a new restoration. That one had a little bit more of a brighter look overall. This one comes from a new 4K restoration of the original camera negative, and it has been compared to a like I believe a dye print that kind of get kind of the color timing a certain way. So it does have a little bit of a different color timing. It's a little bit controversial online on forums, as it always is. But I think if you have both discs, I think it's good to have an option. But I do think overall this 4K restoration does look really great. I do think the look of the film suits it very well. And if it's closer to the original intent, that's great. If not, I still think it looks like a nice disc. But I was not alive in 1975, so I cannot say how close this is to the theatrical exhibition or anything like that. But I can just say this is a good 4K presentation. For if you're looking for a 4K upgrade, it's in Dolby Vision. One thing I was really struck by, the cinematography is very interesting in this, because like they push the shadows and black levels to the extreme. Like there will be people in like dark bars where faces are completely obscured in darkness, but it's not crushed. You can still see like details within the darkness, but just like the cinematography, I think we just don't have a lot of that anymore. Just like the cinematography of the last couple decades has just been kind of very limp and uninspired. But I really like whenever cinematographers made choices back in the day, and this one is definitely an example of that. So good presentation. The sound has been remastered as well, and the remastered mono. You do get a new commentary track. You get some interviews. You get some behind the scenes features. So overall, if you're a fan of night moves, I think it's worth checking out. And just it's a great one for Gene Hackman. So make sure to have that on your list if you're a fan. And another such controversial title in terms of color timing is one that I was really excited to revisit, and that is Michael Mann's debut, Thief, with James Caan, another man who we have lost too soon in the last like 5 years or so. And this is such an impressive debut from Michael Mann. It's just such a moody, like atmospheric piece about a man who's kind of a master thief, as the title of the film would lead you to believe. Doing the classic, like he wants to go straight, he wants to pull one last big job, and just how that kind of unfolds. And just like James Caan is electric in this. He's just such like, it's very understated in a way. If you've seen Drive with Ryan Gosling, which I've covered on this channel, you can very much tell that film was inspired by Thief. But this is the original. It has a wonderful Tangerine Dream soundtrack. It's cool as hell, and that's all I can say. Like, Michael Mann was cooking from the earliest days of his career. And I think this still is one of the highlights of his career. So if you like a great kind of heist tale and like a just criminal odyssey, Thief is where it's going to make you happy. And this 4K presentation, I think, will also make people pretty happy. This was released previously on Blu-ray by the Criterion Collection back in the day. I did not have that release. But that Blu-ray is included in here along with the new 4K disc. The master has at least been touched up a little bit. It is a 4K restoration of the original camera negative in Dolby Vision, approved by Michael Mann in 5.0 DTS audio. Now, where people kind of decried that things were overly teal with the original Blu-ray release, I think the balance, on balance, this 4K restoration, it really strikes the right nuance between like a moody, like kind of look of things and a more natural presentation. It's not a blanket like teal over the entire presentation. There's nuances between the scenes, and I think it really kind of captures likely what Mann intended, since he did oversee this. But I think it will strike that balance of naturalism to kind of placate, at least to a sense, keyboard warriors amongst us who are just like looking for any variance in color timing and everything. I think this strikes a really good balance, and I think most people will be pleased by this. It's a really, really nice looking disc, great textures, sounds great. Everything about this is really good. You have all the previous special features that were released. You get a commentary track. You get various interviews. I should mention this is the director's cut of the film. I believe that it's only like an additional scene that was added. But it's been so long since I've seen the original, if I've ever seen the original, that I don't really know the differences. But this is a really great release of Michael Mann's Thief. Check it out. It's one of the great crime films of the 80s. So Thief, great movie, great release. Now we're going to lock into the films of Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels for several, about 10 releases. So strap in, because we have a lot of great stuff on board. The first is from their Cinematographe imprint, and that is Last of the Red Hot Lovers, starring Alan Arkin, from a play by Neil Simon, and who did The Odd Couple. This is kind of has that similar flavor, and it's about Alan Arkin as a man who's kind of in an unhappy marriage, who he runs a restaurant, and then he thinks like, hey, maybe I will try to have an affair, and how that typically does not work out for him. But I'm a huge Alan Arkin fan. He's another actor who we've lost in recent years, who that it completely just crushes me. But seeing him try attempt to work up the nerve to have an affair, and just how it kind of seemingly unravels each time. There's three main women that he tries to get with. There's Sally Kellerman, Paula Prentice, and Renee Taylor. Now, I have a deep love for Paula Prentice, so I was especially ecstatic to see her. But Sally Kellerman might actually be the MVP of this one. But they're all great segments of encounters that are very funny. Just really smart writing by Neil Simon. It doesn't take itself overly seriously, and it never really gets to any like super gross intentions either. So this one, it's a fun one. So Last of the Red Hot Lovers, never released on Blu-ray before, saved by Cinematographe with a new 4K restoration of the original camera negative. You do get the original mono track. This 4K restoration looks very good on Blu-ray. No major lingering scratches or specks or anything like that. Just a very nice, natural looking presentation. Do get a new commentary track. You do get an interview and a video essay to give a little bit more context to things. Cinematographe always seems to do a really good job with their releases, and this is no different. This is a fun, lighthearted one. This line isn't always the most lighthearted, but I'm glad to get it this one on Blu-ray. It's a really nice addition from Cinematographe. Now heading over to the Vinegar Syndrome Lab sub-label, we have Peter Greenaway's The Belly of an Architect. Now this is old Brian Dennehy as an architect going over to Rome with his wife, and him slowly losing his mind pretty much he just kind of self-destructs. He starts to kind of get an idea that maybe his wife is poisoning him. His underlings are kind of like rebelling against him. He's develops a rivalry over it, and he just kind of like, his love of architecture just starts to become an issue because he learns about certain historical things that he starts to trying to apply to his own life. It's darkly hilarious. It is tragic. It is just all kinds of things. Everything you expect from a Peter Greenaway film. Brian Dennehy is great. He makes me want to crawl out of my skin that I feel so uncomfortable some of the times with what he's doing. But it is a really interesting film. I did not have on my radar. I've been in recent years exposed to Peter Greenaway. And I was glad to check another one off the list, thanks to Vinegar Syndrome Labs, who has given this a new 2K scan of the original camera negative. Now, this one, it looks good, but I can kind of see where it is from a 2K scan instead of a 4K scan. It would seem to me, at least, some of the original elements may have not been in the best shape. Why do I say that? Because some of the early scenes, especially at night, some of the grain in the night sky looks more greenish at times, which I think, from what little bit of film preservation knowledge I've acquired over the years, seemingly would point towards maybe some of the elements maybe not being of the most stable variety. On the whole, this looks like a very nice presentation and everything, but I will just want to set expectations that this isn't a flawless presentation, but that is likely because of what the original elements looked like and how the limitations of the technology. But you do get that restoration, you do get a commentary track, and you get some interviews. And if you want a slipcover, those should be available on the Vinegar Syndrome website, but this is the standard version with the reversible cover art that I showed off. So if this interests you, it is a good release and a very important part of this director's filmography. But now we are going over properly to the Vinegar Syndrome partner labels. And the first of which is from Film Movement Classics. We have Noboru Tanaka's The Oldest Profession. This is the first of many films that are going to kind of test the boundaries of our comfort with sexuality. This is about a woman she's a 19-year-old woman who is getting into prostitution and trying to kind of make her way in the world, and just kind of all of the realities of the profession that she kind of faces over like a period of time. And like her mother is also working in the same establishment as her, and just like kind of everything she has to go through. You can a little bit something a little bit racy there for you. This is not the most racy film that I will talk about by far this episode, but it's still, there's quite a bit of like sexuality, nudity, all that kind of stuff within this. I'm not sure if this is officially a pink film, but I think it would definitely classify under that designation. If you're aware of Asian cinema and their culture, that will mean something to you. But overall, it's an okay, interesting story. Like, there is a narrative to this. This isn't just like a porn or anything, but it's not anything that I haven't seen in other films, even like Asian films from Asian cinema over the past years of covering however many physical media releases I've seen. I've seen similar things tackled. It's done well enough. It just didn't completely like wow me. It's fine. It's a good release. And this does come from a new 4K restoration, which did really impress me. It's a really nice presentation. Looks fantastic. This is mostly a black and white film. There is a sequence in color that kind of like is thematically important for that reason. And the sound holds up pretty well as well. You do get a video essay on this one and the booklet that I showed off. If you're a fan of Japanese cinema, maybe worth checking out. Just not the most revolutionary story in terms of like a narrative feature for this one. So The Oldest Profession from Film Movement Classics, a little bit of a mixed bag for me, but a good release. My next film is from Film Movement, Drop the Classics. This is from, I believe, 2020, if I'm not mistaken. This is Saint-Narcisse from director Bruce LaBruce. Now, I'm about to talk about another Bruce LaBruce movie, but I'll get into that. This is the one that I like more. And he is a Canadian queer director who really gets into some stuff. And this is about a man who it goes in search of his mother. After the death of his grandmother, he learns that his mother is actually still alive. He is kind of a man who's very interested in himself and is very sexually stimulated by himself, which leads to some interesting directions once he meets his mother and he starts seeing someone who looks eerily like him in the monastery in the forest close to him. I don't want to spoil everything, but you can obviously see it goes some places. But it's daring, it's subversive in many ways, but this one is not like too pearl clutchingly subversive. Is there some incest? Sure. What movie isn't there? Just kidding. But like there's some like subversive element, but it is tasteful in a sense, like to a degree. I'm not afraid of just like nudity in general, male or female, whatever. There are both in here. But the next film which is the one that kind of tests me. This one though I did find pretty entertaining, and this is the one I actually watched first. And I was like, okay, let's see what's going on. But it's a good presentation. HD transfer looks great, sounds great. This is a newer movie, so no real major issues with that one. You do get a commentary track for this one and some deleted scenes. So this one I did quite like. It's very dark humor, but very interesting. The next Bruce LaBruce movie from Circle Collective is the one that, okay, this was a thing. And you maybe can see like what I won't explain this, but it's something. This is a loose or kind of a remake / reimagining of the classic Pasolini film Teorema, which is a film I have not seen, but I know stars Terrence Stamp, released by the Criterion Collection. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But it is about a man who comes in to a family's life, sleeps with everyone, and really just upends the whole household, which is what happens here. But this is more of it's almost kind of like sci-fi, where this man at the very beginning, he kind of emerges out of like a suitcase, and he's covered in slime, so it's kind of like supernatural-esque. Goes into this family's house, and this basically turns into a porno for like 45-50 minutes. That This was just a lot for me to personally handle. Like, I'm not a prude, but there are several like insertion shots and just like hardcore scenes that I was not prepared for in just like a normal narrative movie. Because there is a narrative to this, but there's also a lot of in-your-face graphic sex that I was just very taken aback by. But every combination of gender and like position and everything is explored in some way, and there's also a little bit of incestuous stuff in this one too, so it's a common theme in Bruce LaBruce's films. So only those who are the most daring or just like into kind of like the more intense side of the sexual spectrum should probably watch The Visitor. If not wanting to basically watch a porn, do not watch The Visitor. There's more to it than that, but I'm just saying, I just want to give you a baseline of what you should expect with this one. Audiovisual wise, it's good. No complaints there. Everything is in very gory detail, crystal clear, and it has a pretty good soundtrack as well. You do get an intro from Bruce LaBruce. You get a video essay, some behind the scenes stuff. So some good special features. It's just a lot to take in. The Visitor is a newer movie. I think it came out in theaters actually within the past couple months, but it's a 2024 movie. So proceed with caution in terms of your comfort level. Something much more my speed, but probably a little bit cloying for some people. We have Music Box Films, The Dish and the Spoon, starring Greta Gerwig, not one of her directors, alongside Ollie Alexander. This stars Greta Gerwig as a woman who has just found out that she is being cheated on by her husband. She kind of goes a little off the reservation and starts kind of going on a bender, ends up coming across a young, not drifter necessarily, but kind of, I guess that's the term I'll use for now, and kind of the unlikely friendship that forms between them and the dynamic that how that evolves. Most people are probably familiar with the term manic pixie dream girl. It's kind of a flip on that. He's a manic pixie dream boy, and just kind of the dynamic that evolves throughout and just like how they start kind of enacting different kind of dreams like that each of them have, learning more about themselves and each other through their time together over a period of a couple days. I enjoyed it. It does have that kind of Shaggy Dog, like early 2010s indie sensibility that personally works for me, but some people might find it a little bit twee or generally just not their bag. It is for me, who likes that kind of like earnestness or just kind of scrappiness. I like this one. Glad to finally see this in a nice HD presentation. You do get some nice special features with this one, including some deleted scenes, some featurettes, interviews, and like some interviews at festivals and stuff. So overall, enjoy The Dish and the Spoon. Also a holiday season movie, so if you pick this up, maybe save this for kind of like November, December times to kind of get a little bit. It's not overly holiday like Christmassy, but it's set in that time frame. So just another benefit for me for this movie. Next movie is from Film Movement Classics. This is a documentary called Tarpon. It's a type of fish, and it is a documentary about, I believe, fly fishing. a documentary about fishing. It runs just under an hour. It's like 50 odd minutes long. This was a film thought to be lost for many years, and it was unreleased, and it was finally kind of found and restored, and then they like found it in a barn, like the negative was in a barn, and it got restored, and it finally kind of got a festival release in recent years, I believe at Telluride, and now it's finally coming to disc for people to see. But people who are like in the fishing community know about this film and just kind of hold it as like kind of a cult classic. It's not quite to the level of like a colorful character outing of just like everyone doing like super amusing things and stuff, like a lot of my favorite documentaries, but it is still interesting, and just seeing the personalities who are invested in this fishing world, like, and there are little some interesting like conservationist themes within here, especially like if you have a weak stomach for like seeing like animal cruelty in terms of like fish getting caught, like you get to see like visceral imagery of like fish with hooks in their mouths, or being like sharks beat over their head and stuff to like try to sedate them and everything. So there's some very kind of bloody visceral footage within here, but it's interesting to get like a snapshot of this lifestyle, and just some of the characters are fairly interesting. This also has a score provided by Jimmy Buffett before he really got big. This was back in the 70s. But yeah, if you're just kind of more interested in the fishing lifestyle, if you like documentaries, Tarpon, pretty interesting, not overly long, but the special features kind of push it over the edge to make it more worth it, including a video essay and various intros from some of the family members of the filmmakers. So overall, Tarpon for Film Movement Classics, worth it for documentary fans. Another documentary is from ETR Media, always giving us great documentaries. We have American Expendables, the films of North American Pictures. This is a film about North American Pictures, who did such works as Frankenhooker and Maniac Cop. And this is also just about an hour long exploration of kind of their output, their history and everything, how Troma acquired their catalog. So you get interviews with Lloyd Kaufman, from the founder of Troma, and just various insights from like historians and people who appeared in the films, like Cynthia Rothrock, which I want to give a shout out to my beloved editor Anya, who actually interviewed Cynthia, I believe last year, and that's a great interview to check out on our GBN YouTube channel. I'll try to link that in our show notes as well. But so I have an affection for Cynthia, a greater affection for Cynthia because of that. But it's also great hearing Cynthia in the movie. And overall, if you're like just wanting to know kind of like a broad overview of their work, like North American Pictures and their films and everything, and direct-to-video efforts, and just kind of general like place among the like film history and everything, it does a decent job. This is one of like the documentaries that I've seen where I really question like how much, like I know a lot of effort was put into this, but I feel it's a little bit rough around the edges, like rougher around the edges than it should be. Like the voiceover portions of like this documentary sometimes like left in like vocal flubs, like false starts to sentences and stuff, which I think if you're going to be a professional putting out a documentary, you should at least, at the very least, edit that out and just kind of have a more kind of perfected like narration. I mean, I know I have all kinds of flubs on my YouTube video, but it's a YouTube video, not a professional documentary. So some minor criticisms there, and things are a little bit unfocused at times, but overall I like the information in here enough, even if the documentary filmmaking itself is not to the level I deem as like it should be. But overall, it's a decent watch, and especially for those who are interested in this level, like in this company, you do get some special features in here, including a commentary track, interviews, documentary, and then a whole additional action film, the 2006 film Fountain of Death. Is a great addition to this. If you don't think an hour-long documentary is enough, you get an additional action film. So, American Expendables, the films of North American Pictures. Check it out if you're a fan of this era of cinema. Going over to Decalogue, we have the Dutch-Indonesian film Sweet Dreams. Now, I really like this film. This is a period piece about a sugar plantation where the plantation owner dies. The kind of sniveling son tries to come and kind of take over the plantation until he learns that his father actually left in his will all of his assets to his illegitimate son, who he had with the Indonesian maid. So this young kid is actually the owner of everything. Kind of the family drama that erupts from that. Great satirical stuff going on here in terms of like the class structures and culture clashes and everything, and just not respect like colonization efforts during like the Dutch colonizing Indonesia and stuff. It's really a lot of interesting themes being explored in here. I really liked it. I thought it worked very well, and it has like enough like kind of like dreaminess to about things, and like metaphysical things happening that keeps things a little bit more interesting as well. So really great discovery for me. I really like Sweet Dreams quite a bit. Nice HD transfer. Original languages are intact with English subtitles. You do get an interview with the director and a theatrical trailer. But Decalogue, really glad to get this one. Sweet Dreams, very interesting. The same could be said about the Shudder release of Spoonful of Sugar, which whenever I first heard about this movie a couple years ago when it came out, I thought it was a vampire film. It is not. It is a babysitter taking LSD and trying to not lose her mind type of film, and like kind of dealing with a child who has all kinds of allergies and everything. It's a whole thing, and just seeing her not quite to the level of The Visitor, but coming into a family's house and just kind of upending the dynamics within this family, which there's a lot of dark stuff underneath the whole like seemingly normal family that's going on. A lot of weird stuff going on. I won't spoil anything, but if you want to see like LSD stricken babysitter trying to not lose her shit and just dealing with this family, it's a fun time. So yeah, overall really interesting. Good HD release of a newer movie. Audio sounds good as well. You do get a commentary track, behind the scenes featurettes, and other various featurettes. So overall, good release for a Shudder film. Spoonful of Sugar. Heading down a Kino Cult run, where we have a new Kino Cult release of The Godsend, which is a movie about it's basically similar to like The Bad Seed or The Omen. A woman who comes across a family, has a baby in their house, leaves the baby behind. The family adopts the young kid as their own, and then as the baby gets older, mysterious things start happening to their other children they have in the house. And so if you're not a fan of child death in movie, you will not want to watch this movie, because a lot of kids get offed in this movie. But it's wonderfully dark and twisted and stuff. If you like killer kid movies, this one is interesting. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it's entertaining enough. This was previously released by Scream Factory as a part of a double feature in 2015. I do not have that release, but given the fact that there's no indication of a new scan or anything, it's probably from the same master. A little bit. This movie is intentionally gauzy looking just by its cinematography and everything, but overall, it's a pretty nice looking transfer. No obvious like major blemishes. There's minor nicks and scratches here and there. But for an older transfer, it holds up very well. Soundtrack sounds good. You get a new commentary track. So overall, if you missed out on the double feature from Scream Factory, the Godsend is now out on Blu-ray from Kino Cult, and it's a pretty solid release. Also previously released by Scream Factory, but not as a double feature, just as a standalone film, was Crawlspace, with Klaus Kinski in here. Klaus Kinski being a weirdo, like landlord, inviting people to stay in his, like, live in his place, and he's like creeping on them and just really making their life hell and everything. But if you like the general craziness of Klaus Kinski, I think you will enjoy kind of what this movie has to offer. He's a weirdo and he's doing weirdo things, and it's fun. This was released in 2013 by Scream Factory. No indication of a new restoration, so more than likely the same master. No major issues with this. It just looks a little bit aged, but nothing too egregious. It actually holds up pretty nice. No major damage or anything. Sounds good. You get 2 commentary tracks, 1 archival, 1 new. You do get a short film and an interview. Crawlspace, fairly entertaining. We also have one more Kino Cult movie. This is from director Ken Russell, starring Teresa Russell, and that is Whore. Apologies to my mom for this episode, but Whore is Teresa Russell as a sex worker who is basically monologuing the whole time. And talking about the realities of being a sex worker, the things that she has endured during her time as a sex worker, and she's very sarcastic and very acerbic. I enjoyed the movie as much as I could say, like, enjoyed. It's pretty entertaining, and Teresa Russell really does a good job in, like, a very demanding role. She's pretty much talking the whole time, and she's very, like, a colorful character, but she still leaves some humanity within her. Overall, interesting movie from Ken Russell, who, from all the movies I've seen of his, he's just all over the genre spectrum. But this one, fairly good. And this has not had a domestic Blu-ray release previously. It was released previously on Blu-ray by Imprint over in Australia, which is a label I talk about quite a bit, but I did not have that release. So this is probably from the same master. Overall, pretty good. No major damage or anything like that. Maybe slightly older, but overall good. You do get a commentary track. You do get an interview. You get video comparisons to alternate versions of the movie. So quite a bit of sexual content in this one, but nothing that makes me clutch my pearls like some other titles in this episode. But Horror overall, good release. Sticking in Kino land, but going to a release that I was thrilled to be able to cover. This is a Kino Classics release of Oscar Micheaux, The Complete Collection. Every once in a while, Kino, like, yes, I love them for all their, like, film noir collections, forgotten 80s classics, 4K upgrades galore, all of it, like, I'm here for. But they don't get enough credit for the amount of work they put in, like, for their film preservation and, like, very important parts of film preservation of, like with female filmmakers, or just, like, forgotten silent films and everything. They are some of the best. And this, the Oscar Micheaux collection, is another, like, such collection where these are this is a filmmaker. He's one of the first Black filmmakers. And this is a collection of all of his surviving work. That doesn't mean that there is more work that is just lost to history, but is everything that's surviving. And as, like, one of the interviewers on here says, like, they hope that this release will potentially inspire people, like, who maybe have a lead on other works from this filmmaker to pop up, and maybe they could be released in the future. But for now, this is the complete Oscar Micheaux collection. This is just a really important part of history, because This is a black filmmaker making movies independently, some of them adapting works that he wrote, and just really doing things his way and really doing things that Hollywood would never have let him do, but he did things on his own because he felt that he needed to do this, and the result were some great films. And there's a lot of films. There's over 10 films in here, various lengths, but many of them at an hour or over, ranging from the silent era to the talkies. So much that would never have been seen otherwise if there wasn't for a release like this. And just the amount of work put into this is great. There are 7 new restorations on this just for this release, and then other previously restored materials. Various trailers for some movies that don't exist anymore as well. And then you get a lot of context given through like interviews with the people behind this set. That kind of gives a little bit of context to this filmmaker, what society was like at the time, and like the film business and all that kind of stuff. It's really, you could not ask for more from like a historical perspective. These films are not perfect, but like I said, a lot of these films are the films from this filmmaker are lost and you cannot see them. So the fact that we have them at all, even if some of them are maybe in rougher quality than other, a lot of these look great for silent films and the films of this era. So you really have to applaud Kino for like a release like this, which probably isn't going to be selling like tens of thousands of copies, but I hope people do pay attention to this because it's a 5-disc release packed to the gill with tons of films, short films, trailers, special features. The Oscar Micheaux collection definitely is one to have on your radar if you're a film fan and just want the full breadth of what is available from film history. And I think that release is a really good one to lead into this release from Milestone Films. And that is Losing Ground. This is leaping forward to 1982. But this is another black independent production. And it's really stemming from the same spirit as Oscar Micheaux. Female filmmaker. It's about a couple who is going through kind of like a rough part of their marriage. They go on a summer together. They really just start experiencing like a different flavor of life. Like the husband is like a photographer artist who starts trying to potentially have an extramarital affair. She is like a professor who's being like acting in a movie, and kind of like her starting like up a romance with someone on set, and just kind of like exploring the dynamics of this relationship and just like what fidelity and settling and stuff means at a certain point within a relationship, and what like exploring oneself and what their needs and desires, all that kind of stuff is really kind of packed within this film, and it's very interesting. This was almost lost as well. It wasn't released for a couple decades. It was finally released, I believe, in like 2015, after not being seen, like I said, for a couple decades. And it got like kind of reevaluated and appreciated for what it is. It got a new 4K restoration. It looks fantastic. It has that gritty, independent feel, but everything looks nice and natural and everything. You get tons of special features. As you saw, this is a 2-disc release. The film itself is from the 4K restoration. You also get a couple of short films from the director as well. Commentary track. You get on the 2nd disc, you get various interviews, and you get a 2-hour masterclass from the director. So like a really long talk from the director from around the time this film was made. So that's why it's 2 discs, packed with special features. Milestone did a really, really nice job with Losing Ground. This is a really great work of black cinema. And as heavy as some of these films may sound, I do want to leave you on a more lighter note. So I'm going to be talking about 2 comedies from the comedic pairing of Chris Farley and David Spade. So you'll probably already know what I'm talking about, but the first is the 4K debut from Paramount of Tommy Boy. Now this is the comedic classic. You get fat man in a little coat, of course, but there's a lot of quotable lines in here. And this is Chris Farley playing a new college graduate. Only took him 7 years. A lot of people take 7 years for college. And who is going back home. His dad is getting married, and at his wedding, his dad dies, which leaves Tommy, Chris Farley, in charge of the company, which is going to have to shut down if they don't make a very important sale. And Tommy is kind of a screw up, but he starts to go across the country with David Spade's character, who is much more buttoned up and everything, trying to control the insanity that is Chris Farley. It's a classic dynamic, like fire and ice dynamic of just these two going across the country, chaos ensuing, and it's very, very amusing. I maybe don't laugh out loud at everything within this, but there are still things that make me laugh quite a bit, especially the bees scene. If you know the film well, that really made me laugh. But overall, really great comedy. Great. I haven't seen this in years. It was great revisiting it in 4K. I've never owned this on Blu-ray. My previous DVD I think was the last time I had watched this. But this got a new 4K remaster in Dolby Vision. It looks quite nice. Somewhere between the A team and B team for Paramount. Paramount can be a little bit inconsistent in their restorations. Overall, it looks really nice, but encoding wise, it maybe could be firmed up a little bit more, or just like a little bit more, less of a heavy hand on maybe some of the DNR, and just some of the skies could maybe be a little bit less noisy. But overall, it's a pretty nice remaster for the 30th anniversary. And you got the original sound. Sounds good. Commentary track, featurettes, deleted scenes, and Easter eggs, and gag reel. So all the original special features are included. No new special features. But if you just want this film in 4K, it's a pretty nice release from Paramount. And then you have over at Kino, going to Kino Classics. I could have covered this last week, but I wanted to pair with Tommy Boy. We have their next follow-up, which was Black Sheep from director Penelope Spheris. This is similar dynamic. This time Chris Farley is the screw-up brother of a man who is running for office, and just kind of like when he starts accidentally sinking the campaign, all the chaos that comes with, he's kind of banished away, and there's like a whole government political plot happening in the midst. This is a lot of people really don't like this one compared to Tommy Boy. I think it holds up pretty well. I think one of the things that makes this a little bit of a step down from Tommy Boy is that David Spade's character, he seems to lean a little bit more comedic instead of like having that more like buttoned up persona. He's more of like kind of a goofball in this one, so it makes kind of the disparity between the comedic Chris Farley and his like kind of more straight-laced persona not work as perfectly. But there's still plenty to laugh at in here, and there's things that I was laughing out loud at. You get some prime wild-eyed Gary Busey in this one, and you can tell this was directed by Penelope Spheris, who directed Wayne's World, because there's like a concert scene here which very reminiscent of Wayne's World. Fun movie. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's a dramatic step down from Tommy Boy. I still think it's very funny. This has been given a new 4K scan from the original 35mm camera negative. I did have this previous Blu-ray, and this is a really nice upgrade from that one. Kino doesn't always do the best encoding wise, but this actually holds up pretty well. It's one of their better efforts. Not perfect, but overall it's upper tier for them in terms of like the last year or two. And in Dolby Vision, looks quite nice. And you do get a new commentary track from director Penelope Spheris, moderated by film critic Simon Abrams, and theatrical trailer. So you got the two Farley Spade efforts on 4K, different labels, but they are both coming out on 4K at the same time. So make sure to pick that up if you're a Chris Farley fan. I always think that there should be more comedy classics on 4K, so give them all to me. I'll scoop them all up. And yeah, hopefully you will too. That is all for me. I hope you found something that you were interested in. If so, make sure to leave that comment. Let me know what you're going to add to your collection, or make sure to send this to someone who you think might like something that I've talked about. I aim to be of service. I want to bring these great titles into your life. So hopefully you did find something. I will be back again next week doing the same thing. So make sure you like the video, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I appreciate those who come back every week. It means so much to me. I love doing this. As I said, I will be back again next week. But until next time, enjoy these movies.